Traffic Cop. My name is Sean Shapiro. This is Ask a Traffic Cop. I'm a former traffic cop. I'm no longer a police officer, but I know stuff and things, and I'm here to help you with your questions about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. So let's do this thing. It's a little dance time. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable dancing. Aaron Park had an issue this morning. He just messaged on TikTok to let everybody know that he has gas. And not the stuff you put in the car. Oh, things to talk about. Today, Jerry Agar is joining us at 10:35. That's that guy on NewsTalk1010 who talks about stuff and things on the radio. He'll be joining us with his, live audience, and people will phone in if you're at all interested in doing that thing and joining us there. I mean, you can join here and talk to us for the next, let's see here. Next 33 minutes before we start connecting with the radio folks. And then, if you want to call the radio, let me pull up the number. It's 416-872-1010, 416-872-1010. You can call or text there, or 1-877-518-5151. I'll put those numbers on the screen a little later on. But yes, you'll be able to join the radio show, which is, of course, linked in with this show then. Thank you, Michael, who's one of our moderators, and for putting on a dad joke for later. I flagged it. And Tian, who says, good morning, everyone. Now, if you're wondering why TikTok questions aren't popping up on screen, TikTok isn't linking with Restream anymore. Unfortunately, I hope it comes back, but it ain't here yet. So in the meantime, if you want to ask questions, by all means, do it anywhere on whatever platform you're on. And I see the Raging Cajuns who says morning Shabby. Shappy. I should know what he's saying. Raging Canadian, my bad. But we've got all sorts of folks who jumped in. I saw who else did I see? I saw a name that hold on, let's scroll back. Maybe I misread it. And anyway, Minraj jumped in, and Jenny and Ka and Chanjit jumped. So hello to you who are watching via Instagram. And for the YouTube, X, and LinkedIn folks, your stuff can go on screen. We're, of course, multicasting on all the platforms that matter. We're currently on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. Did I miss one? I think that's it. Maybe I was going to go back onto the others. We'll see how those go. Just more. Boki says, did you retire? I did. I left the service at the end of August, and it's weird. It is weird not being a member of the Toronto Police anymore, but I'll tell you what, I don't miss the drive downtown. That was one of the big problems for me. And I do love the fact that my commute involves doing 2 flights of stairs from my bedroom to the basement. So we's good. We's good. Let's see here. We've got stuff and things that we're going to talk about. Whatever you ask is what we're going to talk about, but we're also going to chat about dad jokes at the end, news talk stuff at 10:35. What else? Oh, the Raging Canadian is counting down till baby time. That is awesome. We look forward to having another Raging Canadian on the planet. I guess technically already on the planet, but like popped out, Let's see here. Malik wants to know if I fight traffic tickets. I do not fight traffic tickets. I used to be the guy that gave traffic tickets, and I can talk about what the laws are, and I can explain the safety aspects of things. I don't defend people for tickets. I can explain how the court system works if you've got questions there. But defending tickets, no. I'm the guy that gives tickets, gave tickets, not defends them. I'm not going to answer that one because I don't even know. I don't know this new age talky speaky stuff, what you're asking, so I'm not going to go there. The beard and retirement, that's from Smarty Marty. Yeah, the beard is, I got a lot of attention because of the beard. I've never been, in the last 25 years, prior to 25 years, before I joined, I was wanting to join, so I had a very clean-cut look. But now I don't have to worry about, following uniform guidelines, so I don't. And I might go back to it. This is me just, flexing my freedom, being able to actually grow the beard. It's a weird thing. I've been griping a lot about school safety. And I mentioned it in a live recently, but I want to readdress this. Parking enforcement and bylaw people are awesome. I don't know if you know this, but school zones suck. Everybody wants to get everywhere at the same time. It's a mad pile-on. It's a race for the spots. Everyone's in no stopping zones and in no standing zones. And they seem to justify this activity because they have to drop off their child. Well, I recently saw an initiative in my neighborhood where a parking enforcement officer, provincial offenses officer, was there enforcing the no stopping and did a great job. Kudos to you. And they did this because the community can't stand the fact that people just dump their cars everywhere. And it makes it unsafe for the kids and for the parents. Now, in addition to the not stopping in the right place, there's people who are running through crosswalks while people are in the crosswalk. It is mayhem. So additional police presence and parking enforcement presence is awesome. And if you think that that's bad, it's that concept where if you're pointing at somebody, chance you're forgetting the fact that you got three fingers pointing back at you. It's you that's the problem if you get a parking ticket, not them for giving you the ticket. Just like if you get a speeding ticket, it's you who is speeding. So it comes back to this concept where people say, it's just a cash grab. And I'm like, no, it's a consequence for your poor choices. Yes. Okay, let's see what's going on. Dad joke from Michael. Dad joke from Neha. Carl Freeman says, hello, good morning. Good morning to you. Nicholas Rizzi says, what is this? In the 80s, your prime rookie years, did you ever pull over a DeLorean for stunt driving at 88 miles per hour? And when you got to their car, you look at them and say, you're going to see some serious shit. No, I didn't. However, I almost bought a DeLorean when I was 16 from somebody who was selling it in the neighborhood. And I regret not having bought it for the $13,000 that they were asking. Had broken air conditioning, but it was a DeLorean, man. It was the coolest car on the road. And a buddy of mine has a DeLorean, which is like spectacularly mint. And if you're watching, what's going on, brother? He's a police officer and former radio guy. Yeah. Reach out and say hello. We got to go to lunch. Anyway, let's see what's going on over here. Yes, Raging Canadian is, as he prepares to be a dad, needs to stockpile the dad jokes. I think I need to put all the dad jokes we've read on the show together and make a book. That could be a thing. Let's see what we got. What we got. Okay. It's hump day. How do you feel about the fact that the week is almost done? Like we're already at the middle. And time flies like that. Did you get snow? I got snow in my neighborhood. It's like the first snowfall that really feels like snowfall. I haven't shoveled my driveway this year. Well, I shoveled like a path to the sidewalk because I walk the kids to school, but I don't do the driveway because my truck protects the driveway from the snow. Anyway, let's see here. Wolfie says, my house is on the highway. Can I break the white line in the middle to enter my driveway on the other side? Yeah. Painted lines are not enforceable in Ontario, first of all. So there's no ticket for crossing a line. And obviously, if your house is on a highway and you need to turn across the line to enter your driveway, you can do that. It's legal. Yeah, you have to be doing it in a safe way. You can't cause a collision because if you cause a collision, you cause a collision, and that's a problem. But you're allowed to turn into your driveway. Unless there's a sign that says you can't. So signs in Ontario are enforceable. If you have a sign that says no left turn, that is something you can get a ticket for. But a painted line on the road is not. Okay. I'm clicking the text screen as though it's going to do something. Brandon says, what does Brandon say? I clicked it. Why didn't it go up? Good morning, Sean and all. Let's have a safe fun day. Yeah. Brandon, good morning to you. All right. 25 minutes until they come in. Anticipation. What does Steven Seagal talk about in anticipation? Do you know the movie quote? Let me know. If you know what Steven Seagal, I believe he wrote it on a bathroom mirror in a particular Steven Seagal movie. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. Or was it the top of a toilet? It was either the inside of a toilet seat or it was a mirror. I can't remember, but it was lipstick. I think it was red lipstick. And it was a message to bad people. Yeah. Let me know what you know about anticipation. Okay, we talked about that. Yes. If you're watching on TikTok, actually wherever you're watching, please like and follow and subscribe and share. But on TikTok in particular, please tap that screen. Tap that screen and send likes to the page because it helps other people find the page. And if other people find the page, we get more good quality questions coming our way. And that's what this is all about. This is a show for you. I do this because I want to help. But if you have questions, I get to think about stuff I haven't thought about. And then I get to give you answers to stuff and things. What just happened here? A rotation. There we go. All right. Boy Mom, what's going on? Terry, hello. We've got Matthew and Jat and Aaron and Joe. Welcome to the live stream. You're listed as top viewers according to TikTok. That's always exciting. You should give TikTok awards to viewers. All right. All righty. Reading. Okay. I love seeing the different opinions. So a lot of people discussing what other ways that Wolfie could have gotten into their driveway. Like, could they have gone around and done a U-turn? Could they, different options. But there's nothing wrong with actually turning if it's safe. Nihao wants to know how life's going with regards to the state of the world. I'm a bit worried about it. How's life going with this in regards to the state? The world is a little messed up, isn't it? But it is something that I'm watching with hope. I watch a lot of international news, and I hope things are going well. It was interesting to watch how the United States and Colombia went with their whole deportation thing, and they're saying, no, we don't want our people back. And then Trump, who said, you're going to take them and you're going to like it. And then they said, you're right, we're going to take them and we're going to like it. Like, interesting stuff. Also interesting that Trump's administration is allowing podcasters and, people who are out on the internet, even TikTok was named in the release that they could apply for status to come into the White House as the press, and get a seat to ask questions at the White House. So my wife says, well, you should go. I'm like, I don't know if I qualify just based on the fact that I don't really talk about politics other than this discussion we're having right now. I'm a traffic cop kind of talker. And, but I think it would be interesting to go to the White House and sit in the press room. I think that would be an absolute Mr. President, if you're watching, you want me to come and talk to you about traffic stuff, I'll make the trip to Washington. Just saying. I think that'd be cool. Do you think he's watching? Anyway. All right, here we go. Got pulled over by police telling me my tint is illegal and that I'm not allowed to have tint. That's from Rude GT69. Okay, now I want to know what you drive. Is it you have a 69 GT, and is it Rude? What kind of tint do you have? First of all, what province are you in? Because each province has its own rules. In Ontario, you're allowed to have some tint. You just can't have tint that obscures the interior of your vehicle, and you can't have tint that obstructs the driver's view. But you can have tint. It's just how much tint. Now, if you're in BC, you can't have any tint, from what I understand. They really don't want you to modify your vehicle from stock. Okay. And Tracy says the same thing. You're allowed to have tint, but there's a limit. And that's true. But again, it depends on where you are, because some places just say nay. They say nay. They do not want for you to have anything that you like. There you go. Aquila Draconis, who comes in with greetings and salutations. Welcome, my friend. We have a question from Brandon, who says, can people stop driving in bad weather with their four-way flashers on? Brandon, thank you. So something that you may not know about me is I've been writing articles. I've been writing basically 1,000-word spiels. Not dissimilar, somewhat along the lines of what I do every day, talking and creating videos, but in the typey wordy kind of sense. And if you go to x.com or my LinkedIn page or bettertraffic.ca, you can actually read those articles because they're posted on those three platforms. And one of them just happens to be about four-way flashers. Now, somebody got upset with me on LinkedIn, so a retired police officer, police sergeant, in fact, and he said, my article was confusing. I didn't think it was confusing, but they thought it was confusing. That wasn't helping the matter. But I talk about the fact that there's different laws in different countries. Like in Germany, you're allowed to use it for inclement weather. I don't know why, but you can. In other places, it's like a way to communicate, but it's not against the law to use your four-way flashers in crappy weather. It's just dumb. Because your four-way flashers, they're really there to tell people that you are stopped, that you are a hazard on the road and you should be passed. But if it's crappy weather that you think you need your four-ways on to signify the fact that it's crappy weather, first of all, I can see the crappy weather too because I'm right beside you. Two, if it's so bad that you think you need to warn people about it, nobody should be driving, especially you. You should pull off the road and find somewhere to camp out, go to a parking lot, go to a hotel. But just driving with your flash flashers on is silliness. Your brake lights, your proper lights that are on. Cool. Now, if your vehicle, like you have situations where you have big rigs that are having a difficulty accelerating because they weigh a gazillion pounds, they put their flashers on while they're accelerating up to speed because someone coming up at speed behind them may not be able to judge their speed. I get that. So if you're driving really, really, really slow, I understand why you might have your four ways on. But if you're driving really, really, really slow in a regular car, you probably shouldn't be driving. It's not safe. Anyway, moving on. Brandon, thanks for bringing that up. If you've got anyone has more on that, feel free to shout out and we'll talk about it. I got dad jokes from Akela for later in the show. Got a quote for later in the show. Wayne Edward, I just saw your name pop up. He says, hey, my friend, if someone tries to ram your vehicle off the road, is that careless or dangerous? Careless is like not intentional, just like not paying attention, not being, what is the wording for it? It is, normally I can just stream that from the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of what the wording is right now. However, it's not careless. It's dangerous. It's criminal. It could be attempted red rum. Like it really depends on what the intent is, but ramming is not accidental. It's not careless. It's not an oopsie-doo. So yeah, it's much more serious than that. A little later on, we'll talk about getting police jobs because people want to talk about police jobs, and the police are hiring. Toronto Police has got postings up for stuff and things, and we'll have a look at that. I've got a page primed and ready to go. Yes. All right, what do we got here? Matthew Tashos says, asks, is there a different way to submit a longer-winded question? TikTok character limit too short. Thank you for asking. If you want to send it to the show, I'd say go to X or go to LinkedIn. That allows X. I think has actually the largest number of characters available. But if you want to just send it to me offline, you can also go to trafficcop.ca and click on the link that says send me a message, and it'll send me an email. You can also send me emails to voiceovercop@gmail.com. I do respond to the emails. Let's see here. Rude GT69 following up on a discussion earlier about tint, where they got pulled over and told they cannot have tint. So my front doors are 29%. I have a picture to prove it, and 100% in the back in Ontario. 29% of now you say 29%. Do you mean they're tinted to allow 71% of light through? Or do they only allow 29% of the light through? And these are the big distinctions, because to certify in Ontario, you cannot block more than 30% light, meaning 70% at least has to get through. Now, that is for certification purposes. That is for the safety standards to be on the road. If you have more than that, you block more than that, then what you're doing is you're making your vehicle unsafe. It wouldn't pass inspection, and police could pull your plates and get you towed home. Now, why is that important to note? You can drive it with that in perfect conditions, which means the bright sunny day where your interior of your vehicle isn't obscured. But if it was at nighttime and I couldn't see you as the driver, that is no longer legal. It's legal for safety standards because they say the measurement of light, it meets the standard. But if I'm a police officer, I can't see in, the public can't see in, it's obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle with color or reflective coating, it's illegal. $110 fine. Not as aggressive an offense as if you had the blacked out tint from the back on those front windows directly left and right of the driver, but it's still an offense and you still get a ticket. Some people say that's the subscription method where I'll just pay my $110 for whenever I get stopped. But you should know that if you get ticketed in Ontario once, it's $110. Second time, maybe another $110. When the police officer sees you a third time and sees your record of being charged, they know you're into the subscription method and may summons you to court. They can do it at any time, but for someone who's clearly not getting the message, they can give you a summons, a 104, a part 3, and that means you're going to get a court date. 6 weeks later, you're going to be required to attend court, and the fines can go up to $1,000 at that point. Fun stuff, right? Okay, what do we got? Oh, good idea, Michael. Michael suggests that we should put a an Ontario banner on the top left. I might actually put a banner that I can change when we talk about stuff, because a lot of what I discuss tends to be Ontario centric. But what we want to do going forward with Better Traffic is to answer questions and have guests on that are from different jurisdictions. So do a specific show, let's say like next Thursday, we're going to talk to a cop from BC, and we're going to focus on BC stuff. I really want to help more Canadians and people from across North America, if not the world. I want to talk about the world. The world is a great place. Hey, if you're watching, you don't know who I am. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And I do that on the interwebs. I take your questions, I answer them. If you ask questions in the comments of my videos, I try and make videos to respond to them, or at very least just type a response, depending on what the timing is like. But you know what would help? If you follow, if you like, if you subscribe, if you share, and if you're on TikTok, if you tap that screen till your fingers go numb. Hey, why is my tapping ability not there? Oh, there, I had locked my screen. I'm tapping on the screen. It's making the likes go up. It helps the channel. What does that do when it likes the channel? It helps other people. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't get paid based on people watching me. I don't know if I get paid. Do I get paid? I just do this. Let's see here. We got more questions about stuff and things. Okay. We got that. Any tips any tips that you can give for the TPS interview? I got lots. I don't know if they've changed anything, but generally policing interviews are behavioral events styled interviews. They're more than that, but that's one section of them. You should go online. You could even go and get training. There's companies that will prepare you for this kind of interview, but essentially you need to think about the experiences you've had in your life and different challenges that you've met, and be prepared to tell a story about how you overcame those challenges based on stuff and things. Like I can't give you an answer for it, and unfortunately, it's all based on your life. So if you've got a life that has lots of experiences to draw from, you have an advantage than someone who, let's say, just came out of high school and really hasn't done anything. This is why volunteerism and part-time jobs and employment history and education are so important. Not just because you have a piece of paper saying you did it, but because you experienced life while you were doing it. You spoke to people. You had challenges. You didn't. People treated you fairly, unfairly. People liked you and didn't like you. You got into a fight. You got out of a fight. You dealt with someone who was being harassed and you assisted them. You went to the gym and someone was being an idiot and you had words with them, but you could have done this, but you did that. Like there's so many different stories that make up your life, and it's those real life experiences that may be applicable or valuable in a police interview. But most of them are going to be stuff where bad stuff happened, you did the right thing, and you helped people. And you need to look at how to articulate those stories. So think about them. Have conversations about those things. Did you have a tough childhood? Did it change the way you grew up? How could it have gone? Where did it go? Anyway, I'm just throwing ideas out there. Okay. But Hamuzi, if you have more questions, feel free to go to trafficcop.ca, reach out. And in fact, before we move on, let me quickly just go here. I want to talk about police careers, because the police are looking for people who want to serve their community. Toronto Police has this wonderful page. You can get to it by going www.tps.ca/careers. And when you go to this page, you'll see stuff and things like, police constable, where you can click and learn about becoming a police constable, what the job entails, what the requirements are, what the shift schedule, what the wages are like, contacting a recruiter, all that stuff. It's all here. A lot of people care about the money. The money is good, but you know what? It's more than money. It's a calling. It's something that you do because you're called to, not just because you're bored on Wednesdays. Special constable is where I got my start at the Toronto Police. I became a court officer, which was then you were a special constable by status, but it wasn't your rank. Now it's very clearly on the uniforms explaining what you is. But when I was hired, it was specifically for court services and prisoner transportation, and now they've expanded the role. There are divisional special constables, there are bookers, and there are also court officers, and I think they're all cross-trained to do it all. Parking enforcement officers, the unsung heroes of the city who keep traffic moving every day. If not for them, you wouldn't be going anywhere, because there'd be cars piled up on top of each other because everyone needs to get to Buc-ee's for their expensive coffee. And yeah, because since everyone's more important than everybody else, they would just leave their cars in the middle of the street. Parking enforcement is the consequence, or the long arm of the law that gives those consequences when people do dumb stuff with their cars. Comms operators are those magical people who answer the call for help when you are looking for a 911 response. They're the people who answer the phone, and the other half of them actually respond and send help. They speak on behalf of the chief. When they speak, it is literally the boss telling you as a police officer to go where you're told to go. And it's pretty powerful, pretty impressive. They're amazing. And if not for them keeping us in order, we'd be all going in the wrong direction. Obviously, if you're a lateral, meaning if you're a police officer from another jurisdiction, you want to become a member of the best Toronto Police, the best police service in Canada, the Toronto Police. Well, then you could be coming over as a lateral. We had people who come from RCMP, OPP, all sorts of police services. They want to come to Toronto because it's the biggest, the best, and there's lots going on. And it's a cool uniform. I mean, we have a round patch. Round. Auxiliary officers, actually where I got my start before I became a paid member. I was an auxiliary for 6 months, which is a volunteer position. And for someone who wants to become a police officer, great way to get an idea of what the police job is all about. You're not carrying a firearm. You're not a sworn officer. You have to take an oath of secrecy. And you get to do all sorts of stuff, from canvassing and parades to ride-alongs. Great experience, and not just for someone who wants to become a police officer, because you do have to make a commitment. You have to stick around for a while. I think it's 2 years what they ask you to make a commitment for. But when you join as a police constable or an auxiliary constable, it just might be something you want to do as a volunteer. I had a friend of mine, he's since passed away, but I think he was an auxiliary constable for 45 years. He worked for Bell. And then his passion, his love, his fun thing to do was volunteer and service community. Pretty amazing. Civilian roles is something I love clicking on, because I want to see what we're hiring for today. And this job has been around for a couple of days. Manager, Equity, Inclusion, and Human Rights. This is what are they paying on this one? No job description. How can there be no job description? Okay, hang on. Go back. Multimedia specialist, corporate communications, volunteer chaplaincy, infrastructure engineer, intermediate technical analyst, communications operator, and Yippee Youth and Policing Initiative. That's a summer program that pays young people to come and learn stuff and things about the police service. Anyway, again, go to www.tps.ca/careers if you want more information. And we're just a few minutes away from connecting with the fine folks at NewsTalk 1010. Yes, we'll be getting a connection from them. Let me just go and check to see that no one's texted me. Oh, I did get a text. Just want to verify that it's not the radio station. It's not the radio station. Cool. And let's get back to questions. I will close this window because I don't need it anymore. Ricky, John, Creator, Steve, Summers, Moise. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Shazi. We've got Portugal and Golf Bear. Yeah, we got you all watching. Good morning to you. And then let's go back to the TikTok folks. That's where the action tends to be. Okay. Why did Toronto police... Wait, it just updated. But the question was essentially, why did they stop producing content on the channel that I started at Traffic Services? Why did Traffic Services stop making shows? That's Barry who's asking. I left. They'd hoped that they'd find a replacement. They had Peter DeQuintal, who is a magical man from Happy Land, but he's got a lot on his plate at work. He's got stuff and things that he does. And when I left, it was just an additional thing for him to do. And I don't think they realized how much work went into producing the show. It's not just turning on the camera and going. There's research, there's prep, there's tons of stuff. And it became too much. So they do it when they can, as far as I know, but they can't do it all the time. And I can, because I'm at home. And I still know the stuff I used to know. So I do it because I love to. And who knows, maybe we'll do some remote hosting for them at some point in the future. Colin 873 sent a rose. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's weird. As a police officer, I'd worked closely with TikTok to change the formatting so government agents or agencies could not receive donations, because when we started, it was brand new, and we were the only ones using it corporately in the policing environment, and they were sending us money. Like, we were getting money thrown at us during live streams, and like hundreds of dollars at the end. I think we gave a few $100s to sick kids, charity, because what are we going to do with it? We're the police. We can't accept money. But now I'm not the police, and I can't accept money. And I love getting the little notifications. You received 3 cents today for your live stream. It's very kind. I'm not poking fun, even though I'm poking fun. It's just I have no idea what these roses and things are worth. So it's very funny. And you know what? I will buy coffee when I have enough to pay for one, and it'll be thanks to the folks on TikTok who are watching. I appreciate you. I do. All right. 3 minutes and 39 seconds until I hear a beep in my ear, roughly, when they join the show. So we'll keep talking until then. We'll do 10 minutes with Jerry Agar, and then we'll come back and do another 15 with you and I. Okay. Oh, yes. And another thing that's important to note in regards to Barry's question as to why they stopped. I was off the road as a media officer because I was injured in a motorcycle collision on duty. I couldn't go on the road. So they couldn't say, we need another person on the road, get out of here, go do it, which probably would have made it impossible for them to have the media spot filled all the time. Police are short-staffed. They've got lots of jobs to do and not enough people to do it. So they're constantly borrowing people to make sure that the holes are plugged, that things that need to get done. So I was in a unique situation where they couldn't use me anywhere else because I was injured. Still am injured. All right. Wow Chuck says, I wanted to be a police officer, but I'm colorblind. Wow Chuck, you know what you could do? You could become a special constable. Special constable doesn't require a color acuity in the vision testing. So you could be, there are many people who would have made great police officers, but because of their colorblindness cannot, and they become court officers, special constables of the like, and it's a great option. I just heard the beep in my ear. Let's see what's going on. News Talk. Hello, News Talk. How you doing?
Hello.
Howdy.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. If you hear us, we hear you. It's good. And
Excellent.
Whenever you're ready, what's our count roughly?
It should be about 2.5 minutes.
Hey, I got a 2-minute timer on the clock, and then we'll switch over to a different graphic, and we're ready to go. If you can leave us on mute so we don't hear the feed, we'll come back when you come back. I think that was an affirmation of
Hello,
yes. That's what we'll do.
Sorry. Do you have a call? Thanks for calling the Jerry Agar show. Do you have a?
Oh. All right. They hear us, and we're on mute, and we'll keep on going. People are calling. Here, I'll put it on the screen. If you want to call into the show, you've got 416-972-1010. You can call or text that number. If you're out of town and you can't call locally, you can call 1-877-518-5151, and you can connect with the voice that you just heard, who will then screen you for the Jerry Agar show, where you can ask your questions live. All right. Boom, boom, boom. What is this? Everyone's answering the question for you. Michael, you're on it. You could take over the show. Let's see here. AJ says, what happens if I got a ticket and filed for early resolution but haven't responded within 120 days? You filed but hadn't responded, or you filed and they haven't responded to your filing? It takes forever. It is a backed up system, and they're probably understaffed too. So I expect that you just need to be patient. If you're concerned that you didn't get communication they sent, which is unlikely because it could be a year, they give you a trial a year later. It could be that long. Reach out to them. You can always contact the courthouse and say, hi, I'm just following up. I want to make sure that you received my communication and find out the status. So that's an option for you. Let's see here. That's it. Okay. Neha had great suggestions for Wow Chuck, who says, why don't you connect with a recruiter? The recruiters at the Toronto Police and police services across Ontario and the world know everything there is to know about the recruiting process. They are there to help you succeed. So definitely reach out to a recruiter, find out more. But here's my warning about calling a recruiter. Don't call a recruiter before you study everything there is to know about the standards and the requirements on the website. Don't call them and say, hey, educate me about becoming a police officer. No. Go on the website, show that you care, show that you're interested. Do your homework. Call for clarification of things you have read. Call for clarifications on things that are not written, but you are curious about. But don't ask a question that is quite clearly on the front page of the recruiting page. It doesn't make you look good, and you're being judged from the moment you make a phone call or in that first impression. You can only make You can only make one first impression. Okay. All right, got you here. Azrael says the tint
Listen
laws are
anytime, anywhere to NewsTalk 1010 Toronto through your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Jerry Agar continues.
Sean Shapiro is the TikTok former cop. Used to be with the Toronto Traffic Services. He retired from that, but he carries on online, answering your traffic questions, and still joins me once every couple of weeks. Good morning.
Good morning, Jerry. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I want to do a really quick follow-up to my segment because somebody wrote in with my segment just previously. What are the odds in Vegas of the tariffs becoming reality on Saturday from Donald Trump? So look that up. I had to do it on my phone, by the way, because my Bell computer won't allow me to go to web betting sites. And I'm looking at a betting site, and it says the no position could be a smart pick, as Trump's tariff threats could be intended as either a negotiation tactic or a genuine economic policy move. Official statements suggesting tariffs are imminent, and if in fact on February 1st that deadline passes, the no contracts will likely surge. People are actually betting money on this and buying yes or no contracts. So they're saying no is still the smart bet. Okay, so there you go. All right, so you laid down a little bit of a challenge, Sean, because you said you get ambushed by John Moore.
Not ambushed, just not.
Okay, here's John Moore's question.
I've been told that somebody can park across the curb cut and exit from a parking pad and presumably a driveway, so long as they have the permission of the owner or it's the owner himself, and they won't get a ticket. But every time I do it, I'm afraid I will.
And John's been given bad information. It is an offense to do that. And the thing is that it's a ticket that's only written when someone complains. So it's not enforced unless there's a complaint. So if you're getting tickets for it, it's because your neighbor hates you.
Okay. And why was it this morning that you were saying that you were sort of tongue in cheek saying you get kind of ambushed by John?
No, I didn't mean it that way. Just that, I was thinking about the show and I'm like, I wonder if John's going to do it. And I decided to put a post to sort of create that for to actually happen. But I don't get ambushed. I just, you say here, he heard your name, he knew you were going to be on the show, and he asked a question. So I figured I'd throw that out there to the public.
Okay, but I thought you were also making a point that you don't know what any of the questions are going to be.
Oh, yes.
And you're tying it into, we don't know what's going to happen to us in traffic either, so be alert.
Thank you. So I did say that, it's that concept of preparing. So one of the things I do with the show is I think about what I'm going to talk about during the day, and I plan, what if it goes this way, what if it goes that way. So the whole concept is it's the same thing as traffic safety. If I'm going to go on my road, I'm thinking about my drive, my route before I even start the car. It's not something where you just hit the button, go, and hope for the best. You have to think about things. It's that prepared mind. And if we prepare, we can be safer. If you're just going to sort of wait till something springs up on you and not have that foresight to be looking down the road that you're about to enter into, well, you're going to get shocked. You're going to be surprised, and you have to think on your feet as opposed to sort of have a plan.
All right, we're going to take some calls and texts in a moment, but I also got a text this morning from Deb Hutton, who writes, one of my big pet peeves, people who get in the HOV lane and go slow, and then a series of exclamation marks.
Well, the HOV lane isn't a speed lane. The speed limit's the same in every lane. I know that we have talked about passing lanes and the place that people want to go, but the idea of the HOV lane is when there's bumper to bumper traffic. That's when you want to be doing not a fast speed. You don't want to have a high speed differential, because we see people where it's deadlock traffic, bumper to bumper, 20 kilometers an hour, and someone's doing 100. Well, when the dodo bird decides to jump in, cross those hash marks, and jump into the HOV line when they're only doing 20, the collisions that occur they're just unbelievable, because that speed differential, you're essentially hitting someone who's not moving. It's disastrous. So if you see an open HOV lane, not that it happens very often, and slow traffic, you shouldn't be doing more than 20 or 30 kilometers beyond what stop moving traffic is. And it wouldn't be this. It would be the same thing for a police officer going lights and sirens. We don't do 100 past stop traffic. We would do 35. Because if a collision occurs, you want to reduce the amount of impact.
This text kind of follows that, I think. Driving on the highway across 3 lanes when changing lanes from left to right to right to left. Who has the right of way? Seeing a lot of vehicles cut off and some close calls with accidents.
Well, whenever you're making a lane change, you are taking responsibility for your movement. If you each time you make a lane change, it's a separate event. If you do 3 lane changes, they should be 3 separate checks over the shoulder, not one sweeping movement. So the person who's in that lane owns the lane. The person who's making the change has to be cautious and make sure they're doing it safely.
All right, here is Ryan from Tottenham. What's your question, Ryan?
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. My question is regarding roundabouts, and what's the correct way to signal into and out of a roundabout?
Oh, well, I love roundabouts, and I talk about them a lot because they confuse the heck out of people. When you're entering the roundabout, you're following the road. There's no need to signal your entry. There's nowhere else for you to go. But you should be signaling your intention to exit it. That is a requirement. So if you're going to exit the first one, your signal goes on then. If you're signaling to go out the second one, signal after you pass the first exit. And that helps keep everybody in the right spot. But it seems like I'm always playing chicken with the person who, when I'm inside the roundabout and the person approaching doesn't realize they have to yield to me because whoever's inside the roundabout has the right of way.
Thanks, Ryan. I think, especially in Canada, it's a good idea if you're going into a roundabout to just assume everybody else doesn't know what they're doing, and maybe that includes you, and just be careful accordingly, I think.
I think that's sort of the way you have to approach anything you do on the road. You have to assume, and this is where defensive driving comes in, you have to assume that everybody else is out to lunch and doesn't realize what they're doing or what the consequences are if they do it wrong, because they're just sort of floating through life, and you want to make sure you get to where you're going and home again.
I got in a roundabout, fairly large roundabout, on my motorcycle, and I couldn't get over to the lane to make my exit. I went all the way around again.
You know what? Taking that extra lap, where what you do if you miss your exit, you just go to the next exit and make a new route to get back to where you should have been. That's smart. A lot of people make erratic moves, last-minute changes to save themselves the horror of another lap around the roundabout or 5 minutes added to their drive. And I understand because panic sets in.
It's not even 5 minutes. It's a minute. Here's Ron from Guelph.
Yeah, hi. I'm just wondering, what's the penalty for a single driver in the HVLD lane? I see it all the time coming to work, and it just drives me nuts because I sit there properly by myself in the regular traffic lanes, and you get cars just passing you, and there's only one driver in them, and they're not electric cars. So...
Well, it depends on what route you're taking. I mean, some of them, there are permitted areas of the highway that you can actually buy a permit to be solo in it. I think that's on the 400 series going west. I don't know how much that is. I've never laid the charge, but I think it's 170, 150, 170, something in that range. It's under $200. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, because it's like I sit there and I go, okay, well, I mean, I've never seen someone pulled over, so. And it's like, okay, so why don't I just sit in the HVO lane? But it's just because I don't.
All right, Ron. Thanks very much. Yeah, this comes up all the time. People think because they didn't see someone get a ticket, that tickets aren't being handed out. Here's Andrus from Oakville.
Howdy.
Hi, go ahead.
My question is there any regulation regarding brightness and aim of headlights? I'm an older guy, and I find that maybe because of glaucoma, but I'm absolutely blinded by certain vehicles, and it doesn't even seem that it's that they're improperly aimed. It's just that they spray light like crazy. So I'm wondering, is there any regulation or any enforcement of headlight
Absolutely.
aim?
Improper headlights is a charge $110 under the HTA. That could be for having lights that are too bright, the wrong color, indirectly or directed incorrectly. It's one of those things that you really have to adjust. Now, some of the new LED lights can't be adjusted. Apparently, they're perfect or they're auto adjusting, and they're just super, super bright, and we're not used to it. But if you drive a 1980 vehicle with its incandescent bulbs, I used to be impressed by the halogens. Well, now halogens feel like they're not even on because the LEDs are so bright. And the more light is, makes it easier for the driver to see, but everybody else on the road suffers. So I think that you bring up a really good point. There is a maximum brightness and there is a maximum color range that is legal, but very few of us are used to seeing it that bright.
Andrus, thanks very much for that call. Sean will be back with us to do this again, probably in a couple of weeks. Where do people find you, Sean?
You can go to trafficcop.ca. That'll get you to all my social media. But I wanted to just readdress the fine for the HOV lane, $110, 3 demerit points, improper use of high occupancy vehicle lane. I looked it up.
All right. Thanks very much.
Pleasure. Take care, Jerry. See you again.
Yep. Coming up once again.
And now we can start that 15-minute timer. That'll take us to the end of the show. Always a pleasure chatting with Jerry. We gotta go for lunch. That we haven't gone for lunch in a while. Anyway, what else is going on? We're going to jump back into questions. If you've got them, please ask them, because that's what we do here. We talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. Now, what I was about to answer before Jerry came on was that Azrael says the tint laws are illogical to them. I mean, you can't peek into my house where I'm just as dangerous. So the difference between peeping into your house and peeking into your car are that your car in Ontario, in Canada, in the United States even, has no reasonable expectation of privacy. You're not supposed to be naked in your car. You're not supposed to be picking, well, you can pick your nose, but people can see you. You can't conceal or assume there's privacy. Just like walking down the street. You're on a regulated space. You're in public in view, and there, people are allowed to videotape you. But in your house, there is a reasonable expectation of privacy, just like it would be going to your bathroom, in a public space. There's an expectation of privacy in a public bathroom, but there isn't in the public space around the bathroom, like the hallway and the rest of the mall. What I'm getting at is you just have to get used to picking your nose in public. That's what I'm getting at. But I do understand. Also, if someone were to enter your property, like if someone were on your house, if they were, like, you can film your house and they can see you inside your house from the street. That's legal. So there's no, if you're standing, in your birthday suit at the front window, they can see you. There's no expectation of privacy there because you're flaunting it to the world. In fact, you could be charged for doing that. So even in your house, there's application where there's no privacy. If you're in your backyard and you decide that you want no tan lines and someone is on a hill and can see into your backyard, guess what? There's no reasonable expectation of privacy as long as they're not entering your property to get that shot. If they were on a hill and could see it from a public space, that's legal. So what makes your car any better? That went a little strange. What happens if I got a ticket? Oh, we talked about that, although it's a repeat of the same question. And Azrael says, by the way, the comment of expected privacy isn't directly related to what I said. Okay. Fill me in. And then lots of dialogue here. Okay. Akela wants to talk about lunch too. There's a lot of good lunch places. I had a good lunch yesterday. I went out with the folks from Barrett Legal for lunch, and we left full. It was very good. Yes. Apparently, the boss man knows how to pick restaurants. If you're watching, thanks for lunch. What do we got here? Where we go? Okay. Oh, Azrael really has a bone to pick about privacy. We're moving on though. Is it illegal to have my AirPods on while driving? Nicholas wants to know. And the answer is yes, in Ontario, but different provinces have different rules. So in Ontario, you can cover both ears and it's legal. Not necessarily the best decision, but neither is loud music from your car stereo. Just blocking the ability to hear what's happening around you is less good. So you shouldn't do it. But it is lawful in Ontario. No ticket can be issued. And in fact, you can be deaf and drive. However, folks in the deaf community, pay attention to what's going around them. And if you're rocking out to the oldies, you're probably not. Just saying. And I personally prefer to hear all of the noises that are approaching, like screeching tires. And after my collision where I was hit by a car on my police motorcycle, I was white knuckling it whenever I heard the screech of tires because that impending doom was not fun. By the way, did anyone figure out what the Steven Seagal quote was? No? Yes? No? Maybe so? Let me know. I'm still waiting on the answer. If you know what movie I was talking about. Okay. Sarah, I didn't see your original question. What are the regulations for underglow on cars? So there are no specific regulations. And thank you about the comment for your dad joke that you forgot. But the deal is that there's no specific qualification for or regulation around underglow. But there are regulations for headlights. There's regulations for taillights. There's regulations in general for safety. So here's the thing. If you are using it on private property, there's no issues. You can do whatever you want with underglow as long as you're not using it on the roadway. If you are using it on the roadway, as long as that light is not being projected forwards, back, or to the sides, there's really no issue. So it's, in my opinion, by the way, because Sergeant Murray Campbell disagrees with me. We always used to argue about it. He says if he sees the light, it's being projected at him, thus it is a ticket if it violates. So let me clarify. You can have amber light, yellow light. That's legal to project in all directions. There's no law against it. So the safest one would be amber. If you had red light to the front, it would be illegal. If you had red light to the back, it would be legal. But underglow tends to be everywhere and not in multicolors. So if you had anything other than red or amber to the rear, it would be illegal. If you had anything other than white or amber to the front, it would be illegal. Catch what I'm going? It would be followed. It would fall under the headlight and taillight laws. Now, here's where my opinion differs from that of the good sergeant. He said that if he sees it, it's projected at him. And I say, if I can't see the bulb and I'm only seeing reflected light from the underbody of the vehicle off the road, it's not projected, it's reflected. Thus, I think it's legal. And my example would be like if you see the lights from the street lamps reflected off the ground, it's not coming from the ground, it's projected from up there. That's where we're going here. So I think it would be legal. I've gone down the rabbit hole again because I like talking about this particular one. But the best thing is don't use it on the road because it doesn't look as cool as it used to look. That's really the end of it. Let's go here. AGT666 says, if you are at a stoplight and you're side by side with a bus and the light turns green, do you have the right to go ahead of the bus, or does the bus have the right to signal and come into your lane? I love this question. This deals with the whole requiring a bus to, or you must allow a bus to merge that after it's finished servicing a bus bay. The verbiage is not correct, but that's what the law says. The sign for that is on the back of the bus. My belief and my interpretation is if I am side by side with the bus, I do not need to let them go first, but I do. I do because nobody else gives a crap about them, and I do. So I tend to wait, knowing that they're going to leave. I give them a beat, and if they start moving, they can go. And if I don't see them moving, if the signal's not on, then I go because I have no obligation at that point. However, if I see their signal on and I'm behind them, I'm obligated to, because A, they signaled, B, I see the sign telling me that I have to let them in, and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is finishing from servicing a bus bay. So I think that's clear. If it's not, let me know. I'll repeat. But if you're side by side, you're not obligated to, but I still let them in because I'm just being a nice guy. And we could use a lot more nice people on the road. So there you go. What we got? Oh, so Azrael says it's not a safety. Sorry, it's a safety factor, not a privacy one. What's the safety factor about being able to see inside your car versus your house? You're allowed to tint. You're legally permitted to tint your windows or put blinds up. There's no obligation to let people look inside, but there is an obligation for your motor vehicle. But I know that you've been going on about this, and lots of people have weighed in on it. So unless there's something really spectacularly different with what I've said. Oh, he says, people are misunderstanding the intent of my question, giving a falsehood of being debating. Well, then please be more clear, because I'd love to understand what you're talking about, but we're only reading the words that you're typing. So be specific. Be specific. What is this? Somebody who doesn't have what? Oh, gosh, where are we going here? So my friend wants to be a police officer and tips that I can give him. Oh, and then the answer was tell him to join TikTok. Tell your friend to go to trafficcop.ca and he can reach out to me there, and I will happily send him in the right direction. This is someone who wants to be a police officer but doesn't have TikTok. Yeah, tell them to go to trafficcop.ca or link in bio. Can I have a ticket for having salt and snow on my plate? Well, yes, you can't have a dirty plate. That's Christian who wants to know the answer to that question. And truly, you cannot have a dirty plate. You can't have a license plate cover. You can't have a frame. But here's the difference. If it's fresh accumulation, you're driving in a snowstorm, a blizzard, it's crappy out, and you have stuff on your plate, you have stuff on your whole car, it would be unreasonable for a police officer to say, I'm giving you a ticket because you didn't wipe your plate while driving. No, but here's the difference. You need to make sure that you don't have that hard-packed, day-old, packed-on snow. Because what I've seen people do is push the snow on, pack it in hard. You know, you have light snow over your vehicle, but you have 6 feet of snow over your license plate. And that's not okay. So you can get ticketed. It just depends on what's reasonable and what's not. Every time you get into your vehicle, you should make sure when you're brushing your windows, you brush your plates too, because you're supposed to, and that's the law. You have to have plates in your vehicle, and they have to be legible, clearly readable. Although I've been cautioned that readable is not a word. Legible. Okay. Poshment with a funny. That was funny. That's very funny. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm trying to figure out where this one is. Hold on a second here. Why is tint allowed on the back half of the car? It seems counterintuitive. Because it's only you can have a box van. You can have a truck that has no windows. You can have straight panels of metal all the way across to the back. Think about a delivery truck, a box truck. You don't have to, you can tint out your back windows. You don't need to have back windows. You need to have a clear view to the rear of the vehicle, and that can be achieved by way of side mirrors. So if you have side mirrors, you don't need to have a rear view mirror mounted on your windshield. But and thus you also don't need to have clearly, you don't have to have transparent windows. And people do that all the time, especially people in the service industry that have lots of expensive tools in their vehicle. They black out their windows in the back to protect the content, which is also sometimes what makes people interested to see what's inside your vehicle. So it doesn't always work the way it's intended to. Okay, I'm scrolling back because apparently I missed some stuff. Okay. What do we got here? So many cars on the road this morning with snow not cleared off top of the rear windshield. And again, top of the rear windshield, if they can see with the side mirrors, is okay. Except for the fact that might be with a sheet of ice that could fly off into somebody else's vehicle. The rear window, I'm not really worried about so much. And they have the fogger or rear defrost on it, melted away. It's so much easier just to wipe it off. But we have people who are super duper lazy. Front windshield, the windows that have to be clear and you can get a ticket for having an obstructed driver view. Obviously, if snow's on your windshield or on the side windows, it's an obstructed driver view. The people who won't scrape the ice off the side windows and then or make a line like you're looking through a tank window, like an Abrams window. Here, what is this? So what about the lights on these cars that are blinding? We talked about on the radio. David, was that you? Somebody called in about bright lights. No, I don't think it was you. But if it was you, say hey. AGT666, you're very welcome. Akela says, 6 feet of snow on your license plate. It sounds like a snow bumper. I wonder if that would change the dynamics of a collision. A couple minutes left. Although I'm going to go to whatever I see here, whatever's in here, all the way to... Oh! Okay. Just to go back to Ezreal, because there's been lots of discussion here. He's saying tint or coating your windows to prevent people from smashing the windows. Is that what you're talking about? That's really not what it sounded like you were talking about until your last comment. You're allowed to put protective films on your vehicle. You don't want that kind of stuff on your car to protect you from having your windows broken, because then it restricts the ability of emergency services to get into your car to extract you in the event of a collision. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, you were talking about tint to clear coatings for protecting your home from home invasions. Totally different, not at all the same. Don't know how we got here. Okay. Well, working my way back. Storm with bad visibility, slow travel, four-way flashers on or off. Storm with bad visibility, pull off the road, find a hotel. Like, it's not safe to drive in a bad storm with poor visibility. I drove to London, Ontario for a police event, and as I got closer to London, it was like zero visibility. It was a tough choice to decide whether or not to continue or to drive. And everybody had their flashers on. It was bloody annoying because you have this beacon going off in the distance, and you're like, are they driving or are they stopped? And you would just perpetually it was so weird because you were just continuously moving behind the flashers, which are distracting and confusing. Check out my article on x.com under VoiceOver Cop, because I talk about that. It looks terrible. It doesn't help anybody. We all see the same storm. And I see your lights. I don't need the flashing to say that you're there. Flashing suggests to me you are pulled over. And if you are not pulled over, it is confusing. And not just to me, but to everybody. In my situation, I was able to drive fine. And the visibility, I say, was no visibility. It was actually pretty good, except for the flashing lights in my eyes. Just saying. But yeah, if it's so bad that you are concerned and you think lights are going to help you, pull off Fun Hotel. And Azrael, if you need more characters, go to x.com, voiceover cop. You can type to your heart's content. You can also send me an email. Question wants to know what my favorite sport is and what my favorite athlete is, or who my favorite athlete. I don't really watch sports. It's not illegal to have underglow lights unless they violate headlight or taillight laws, depending on how they're configured. We talked about it a little while ago. If you missed it, you can go to YouTube at VoiceOver Cop and watch the whole episode again. You can even download the episode on your favorite podcasting app. Okay. All right. I think we're up to date. I think it's time for dad jokes. All right, let's do the dad jokes. Doing the dad jokes. Oh, but we got Nicholas Rizzi who has a question or a statement. Those YouTube videos of people who drift in the intersection doing donuts, attracting a large crowd. How are the police not cracking skulls before the crowd even shows up? Well, the crowds are usually there well before the police. And it's amazing. Those people doing that dumb stuff are the reason the stunt driving laws were expanded. It was specifically with those. I was going to say something really rude, and I think it's incredibly funny. I'm going to keep it to myself, and you can think about what I was going to say. But the deal with with that behavior is it's dangerous and it's criminal, and the police tend to get there when there's a gazillion people in the road, and they're severely outnumbered, so they have to wait until there's sufficient backup. And when it arrives, they start doing things, but people scatter like cockroaches. So they end up getting they try and get the leaders or the people who are responsible for it. And people take the plates off, so it's hard to identify vehicles. There's tons of things that go into it, but it's a big deal. They even tend to put undercover people involved in it, and they arrest them later at their homes. Now I want to, let's see here. Am I going to find it? My anticipation quote. I'm looking for. Come on, give me a picture. Here we go. See, I talked about can I make it full screen? I don't want to go to Facebook. I'll go to Facebook. Okay. Here we go. We're going to put it on screen. So very quickly, I said earlier in the show that there is a quote from a Steven Seagal movie. This is the quote. Anticipation of death is worse than death itself. It was written in lipstick. And I can't tell. Is that the toilet seat cover? It might be the toilet seat cover. It was that or the mirror in the bathroom. I'm surprised that nobody keyed into that. I thought some of the other old fogies in here would have known what we were talking about, known what I was picking up, what I was putting down. Yeah. But that's okay. Maybe you're not movie people here. Were you a Steven Seagal? I guess you weren't. I guess nobody was a Steven Seagal fan. That's okay. I still love you. All right. Dad jokes. Dad jokes. Oh, see, Akela said he tuned in late. See, Akela never lets me down. He knows everything. Okay. Yes. Okay, let's go to the pinned dad jokes. First one. Don't fall in love with a tennis player. Love means nothing to them. That's actually pretty good. Does anybody watch tennis? I sure as shit do not. But I do appreciate that love means nothing in tennis. Love is everything in the real world. Come on. Dad joke. I wanted to buy a pair of camouflage pants, but I couldn't find any. Yes. I wonder we votes on which one are the best. That's what I want to know. What do you call a lazy baby kangaroo? This is from Michaela. A pouch potato. Marsupials, they have a pouch. Good. Here's another dad joke. Does that stop? I don't need more crickets. Okay. Dad joke from Michaela. I've been trying to break up with an optician recently, but it's really hard. Every time I tell him I can't see him anymore, he moves an inch closer and asks, how about now? I got to send that to my eye doctor. That's awesome. Truly. Okay. And a quote. Life has no limitations except the ones you make, from Les Brown. Les Brown, I don't know Les Brown, but those are some wise words. Boom, boom, boom. Just making sure. And very good. Bernhard, who I want to know more information about your graduation. When is that? But let's see here, unless I missed it already. The answer to the question, the Steven Seagal movie question, is Marked for Death. It was a movie, and the lead bad guy was Screwface. That's right. I want to watch that movie now. One of the evil twin brothers. They made it look like there was one guy. He was everywhere because there was two of them. That was the plot twist. Gripping, right? Okay, that's it. I will be back. I will be back on when? Friday, 10 a.m. We'll see you then. Drive safe, drive sober, park legally, or Aaron will come after you. And